All right, welcome back everyone to the deep dive. We're diving into some really interesting ideas today from Mark over at Knowledge is King, KIK.
Hmm.
He really gets down to basics, right?
Mm.
To talking about this concept of being honest with yourself as like the foundation for a good life.
Yeah, absolutely.
So let's try to pull out the main points here. But why this self-honesty thing is so important for any kind of personal growth, right? Like
Yeah.
if you're trying to improve yourself, where do you even start?
Well, right off the bat, Mark lays down this ground rule. Always be honest with yourself.
Okay, yeah.
And then he takes it a step further. He says to really grow and succeed, you can never lie to yourself.
Never. So,
Mhm.
like, what's the big deal with these little lies we tell ourselves sometimes? Like, why is that so bad?
Well, it's like Mark really highlights this tendency we have to kind of see ourselves, in the best possible light.
Right, we all do it.
Yeah, to maybe downplay those flaws a little bit.
Yeah.
And it's tempting, right? But he's saying that this self-deception, it has a real cost.
So it's not just harmless, like, feel good stuff.
Right, exactly. Because if you're not willing to face your own weaknesses, how can you even begin to work on them?
That makes sense.
And Mark's point is that this self-deception, it becomes this huge roadblock to growth. Like you're basically working with incomplete information about yourself.
So you're setting yourself up to fail almost.
In a way, yeah. You're not seeing the full picture.
So, okay, let's turn that around.
Yeah.
What does Mark say are the actual benefits of being brutally honest with yourself?
Well, he argues that self-honesty gives you this clear view of your strengths and this is key, your weaknesses.
Okay.
And with that honest assessment, you can actually start improving. It helps you focus your energy. And like Mark puts it, you can actually move towards becoming the best version of yourself.
That sounds good in theory, but I mean, come on, looking in the mirror, that honestly can't be easy.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. And Mark acknowledges that. He says this whole process can be really tough and we're going to stumble, along the way. It's not going to be perfect.
So why is it so hard? Like, what's the big deal about facing our flaws and mistakes?
Well, think about it. It can be uncomfortable. Nobody likes to admit they messed up or that they have these weaknesses.
Right.
But Mark's point is that these difficulties, they aren't failures. They're often like necessary steps in this whole growth process. It's about really seeing yourself clearly, even when it's not pretty.
And I guess Mark would say it's worth it in the end.
Exactly. He talks about the reward of self-awareness and growth being worth all the struggle. And he actually uses some interesting imagery to illustrate this.
Okay, like what?
Well, there's this analogy of a plant that seems to be struggling as it grows towards the sunlight.
Right.
And it really highlights that those initial challenges, those tough times, they're often a sign of progress, not failure.
So it's not always going to be pretty, but it's going in the right direction.
Exactly.
And then he has this other idea about the grass being greener on the other side.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you can push through those tough parts, you'll get to a better place.
Yeah, and I think if we connect that to the bigger picture, Mark's suggesting that, real progress, it doesn't just happen. It comes from this deliberate effort to stop fooling ourselves and to really actively work on improving ourselves.
And all of that starts with being honest about where you are right now.
Absolutely, that's the foundation.
Okay, so to everyone listening, what's the main takeaway here from Mark's perspective?
Well, the key here is that self-honesty, it's not just some, nice quality to have. It's the absolute starting point for any real personal growth.
If you're not honest with yourself first, nothing else matters.
Pretty much. Without that honesty, you're just, shooting in the dark. Your efforts might be totally wasted.
That's a really powerful point.
Yeah.
So think about this as you go about your day. Is there one area of your life, just one, where being completely honest with yourself, even if it's hard, could unlock some serious progress?
Mm-hmm.
Like, what's that truth that you're maybe avoiding? And what's one tiny step you could take today to start facing it?
That's a great question for everyone to consider.
Thanks for diving deep with us.
Of course.